Hi class, my name is Shelley Schaefer. Welcome to Introduction to Criminal Justice, CJJ 100. Today we'll be discussing community policing after 9/11. First, we need to understand community policing in general. Since this is an online class and we're all in different states, I'd like to present this material to you in video form. We're filming in Denver, Colorado. Please take notes as you will see this information again on a quiz June 1st. Those pictures that you saw were of me and community police officers in the Denver area. The goal of traditional policing is to protect law-abiding citizens from criminals. They do this by identifying and apprehending criminals while gathering enough evidence to convict them. Traditional beat officers' focus on duty is to respond to incidents swiftly and clear emergency calls. Many officers working busy shifts only have time to respond to and clear emergency calls. This type of policing does not stop or reduce crime significantly. It is simply a temporary fix to a chronic problem. In contrast, community policing's main goal is to assist the public in establishing and maintaining a safe, orderly social environment. While apprehending criminals is one important goal of community policing, it is not necessarily the most important goal. Community policing is bringing the community together and partnering up with law enforcement to help reduce crime in the community. The most effective solutions include coordinating police, government resources, citizens, and local business to address the problems affecting the community. They get in touch with the community in a variety of ways, including, but not limited to, polls or surveys, town meetings, call-in programs, and meeting with interest groups. They use these connections to understand what the community wants out of its police officers and what the community is willing to do to solve its crime problem. Police departments have been paramilitary in nature and work on a chain of command basis. The civilians in a community were usually intimidated by the police and thought of police as more of an enemy than a safekeeper of the streets. The broken windows theory came about in 1984. Two academics that basically stated if the community appeared run down with broken windows, the community would give off a persona that no one cares and it's okay to commit crime in that community because no one is watching. If the community took pride in their areas along with police, crime could decrease in that area, and it did. There are two main types of policing that we're going to discuss right now. When we discuss community policing and the advantages and disadvantages, we must first look at some different types of policing. We have the two main types of policing are proactive and reactive policing. Proactive is deterring criminal activity by showing a police presence. Reactive policing is police responding to specific requests by individuals. Prior to the broken windows theories, community policing was discussed a great deal in the 1970s and 1980s. It became police practice in the Clinton era of 1994. Crime control is an important function of policing, and community policing states that equally important is the prevention of crime. Community policing strives to have the police and the community interact with each other to build trust and fight crime and keep the streets safe within communities. The police department changed their strategy of reacting to crime to working with and within the communities to show the communities that the police are there to listen to their concerns regarding crime and are willing to work alongside of them rather than against them. When I worked for the Hialeah Police Department, officers had zones that they were placed in for 3 months at a time. This was so they would get to know the businesses and the people in that area. With this type of thinking, community policing strategies such as bike patrol, foot patrol, things of that nature, and substations in strip malls and storefronts, where vital intelligence can emerge from trusting relationships between local police and the communities they serve. However, when local and federal agency intertwine, we may and often do see community outrage instead of community buy-in and partnerships that have emerged. This is what occurred post 9/11. Federal Bureau of Investigation and the Department of Homeland Security have shifted their priorities from crime fighting to non-criminal information gathering on certain communities, and have encouraged local police departments to do the same. This, in and of itself, makes for these certain communities to not trust the police. The certain communities that we are pointing toward here are people of the Arabic nation, people who are Muslim, Hispanics that come from Mexico or other Latino countries. Those are the certain communities that we see targeted a lot. The events of September 11, 2001 was a game changer for law enforcement, as Homeland Security became a shared mission for local and federal agencies. Since then, an extensive array of laws and policies have been enacted at the national and state levels to support that mission, including but not limited to the Patriot Act, multiple immigration restrictions, and policies governing information sharing. While these government actions have helped protect our country from violence, many observers have recounted that they have sometimes done so at the expense of civil liberties and public safety. The U.S. Patriot Act is an act of Congress that was signed into law by President George W. Bush on October 26, 2001. With its 10-letter abbreviation, U.S. Patriot Act expanded, the full title is Uniting and Strengthening America by Providing Appropriate Tools Required to Intercept and Obstruct Terrorism Act of 2001. This act is basically an order that allows law enforcement to search a person and their home without consent, and allows the FBI and federal agencies to conduct wiretapping and other surveillance activities with regard to terror attacks or possible terror acts. As you see, this is directly contradictory to the Fourth Amendment of the United States. This is where police officers may have a difficult time. Community advocates and police believe that many lower-level hate crimes, ranging from verbal and physical assaults to arson, have gone unreported and or could have been prevented with greater police community collaboration. Hate crimes have always been around, but because of the war on terror, we have seen a growing amount. The collaboration is what we strived for with community policing. However, 9/11 has changed that. Nationwide, many local law enforcement agencies are unsure how to connect with diverse, growing communities or how to overcome challenges to developing community policing partnerships with them. Federal law enforcement agencies, as well as local police, are afraid of diverse communities and find themselves gathering information about individuals in these communities. That local police no longer spend the time to collaborate and work together as partners with them. So as you can tell, we have seen a decline in community policing since the 9/11 era, and that is due to the basic facts that federal agencies and local police departments become intertwined, and the idea of community policing gets placed on the back burner. Not that it's altogether wrong, but it gets placed on the back burner. What you should know for tomorrow's quiz: you should understand reactive policing, proactive policing. What exactly is community policing? How do agencies practice community policing? Substations, bike patrol, foot patrol. I would also like you to understand the broken theory principle, or the broken windows theory, and also the Patriot Act, since the Patriot Act is very controversial in the country today. Remember, study your notes, and there will be a quiz tomorrow, June 1st.